So hi there, everybody, and welcome to your on-demand webinar. My name is Rachel Flanagan, and I'm the National Sales Manager for Mortalife in the South. And I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about tailored enhanced and how to get the max borrowing that you can. Now we've reintroduced this product back to the range. So I'm going to share my screen and presentation with you. So tailored enhanced has been away for a little while, and I think one of the challenges that we've had is that obviously getting the maximum borrowing for your customers in a marketplace where we saw a number of products that were either withdrawn, shelves that were withdrawn, making it really quite tricky, particularly for those customers who perhaps have got that interest-only mortgage and absolutely no way of repaying it, need that little bit more borrowing than perhaps they could get before. So tailored enhancers come back to the range, and I'll talk to you now about how you can really utilize this product to get the most out of it. So within our product range, we believe as a lender that we've got the broadest range of lending solutions that are out there as it stands. Okay, so whether you're looking for the low rates, okay, with flexi choice or perhaps capital, or whether you're looking for something that actually will cater for that higher loan to value right the way through the range up until the Apex product that sort of sits at the top of the range. We do also have another product, Prime, that isn't trading at the moment, and we're hoping that that will come back at some point. However, you're probably thinking, well, we're talking about maximum LTVs, and actually capital choice there, what that's telling me is that actually you could borrow 55% loan to value. So, but what you need to realize is that that's at a much older age. So on tailored, we will lend up to 54%, and that actually starts for clients that are in their 70s. Now, when it comes to our products, okay, all of the features are automatically built in. You don't have to think about bolting something on. It's either there or it's not. So all of the products actually allow you to overpay, and you can do this, the client can do this by either setting up a standing order, they can dust off their checkbook and send us a check, and we get lots of checks every single month, or alternatively, they can pick up the phone and call us and give us their debit card details over the phone. So you can overpay by 10% per annum on any of our products, okay, with the exception of Maxi, which will allow you to actually overpay by 12%. All products come with a fixed early repayment charge, so the clients know exactly where they stand on each particular product. And we build in the compassionate window as well to all of our products. So that's available if the customer it's a joint application, and let's say one party should either sadly pass away or move into long-term care, then you have at that point a 3-year window in which you can redeem your loan ERC free. So where that's been really useful in the past, we had a couple who moved into a village, and he was the driver of the two, and sadly about a year later he sadly passed away, and his wife didn't drive, so she used to have to take the bus into town, but the bus didn't come very regularly. It was a type of village where the bus only came once or twice a week, so she was having to take taxis into town, and that was costing her money. So she'd said to her advisor, what I'd quite like to do is port my mortgage on a property onto a property that's nearer to town, and that will be much easier for me. And he said, but you don't need to do that. So at the time, rates were on the decline. And he said, look, rates are lower than where they were when you took out this mortgage. You can redeem your loan ERC free and actually take out a new loan. And that worked really, really well for them. Downsizing protection is built in as well. That kicks in after 5 years, and that's on everything with the exception of tailored. So let's talk about tailored and the enhanced side of things. So what we'll do on this product is we'll lend on properties that are a minimum of £70,000, or it's 100,000 for ex-local authority houses and bungalows. We'll lend up to 54% loan to value. The loan size will go up to 800,000, and we'll take the clients up to age 85. When this product first came back, it came back just as the product in the normal way. We then actually added 3% cashback, and now we're giving 5% cashback as an option on this product. So it's evolved a fair amount sort of since it has been back in the short period of time it's been with us. And obviously, we've already talked about the features that are automatically built in. But this is about lifestyle and enhancing the loan to value that the customer can get. So essentially, we are living longer, but we're living longer iller. And what killed us a number of years ago no longer does, and it becomes part of a managed condition. So ultimately, there's lots of sort of lifestyle factors that we really do need to consider. And for these customers, these types of customers, there are 8 common conditions, okay, which could mean that the client is actually eligible for a plan. But what we've found is, since this product has really sort of been away, people have not really sort of thought too much about asking those medical questions, and we'll come back to that in a second. But we do know that 6.4 million people within the UK are smokers, and that will have an impact on a product that's like this. We also know that every 90 seconds, somebody in the UK is unfortunately diagnosed with cancer. So it used to be 1 in 3. I think the stat is now something like 1 in 2. Almost 5 million people in the UK are diagnosed with diabetes, and it's estimated that 1 in 3 people in the UK suffer with high blood pressure. Now, those people with diabetes and high blood pressure don't wear a badge that says, "Hi, I've got high blood pressure." Nobody does that. It's not an advertised fact. But at the same time, these people are living with this, and it becomes part of their daily routine, the drugs that they have to take to control that blood pressure, or to control that insulin, or that HbA1c reading, when it comes to diabetes. There's a big portion of the UK, nearly 64% of people in England, okay, are actually considered to be either overweight or living with obesity. And we know that weight has a direct impact on a number of illnesses that actually can happen in your lifetime. 1.3 million people or more have been living in the UK with a stroke, and nearly 7.6 million people who actually live with a heart or a circulatory disease, whilst 130,000 people within the UK are actually living with multiple sclerosis. So each year, there are an additional 6,700 people that are newly diagnosed with MS as a condition. So that's nearly 130 people per week that would be diagnosed. And these are some of the conditions that basically will help that customer, if they do suffer, actually get an enhanced level of borrowing for them on their equity release. So I want to talk to you a little bit about my father. So my father is 78 years old, and in 2010 he was diagnosed with having a brain tumor that he had to have removed using traditional craniotomy. And once they'd removed it, they were able to ascertain that it actually was benign. It was a benign meningioma. But as a result of this tumor, he had to go into speech therapy. He had to learn to speak again, and he had to learn to write again as well. He went into speech therapy for a year, and if you spoke to him today, you might assume he might have had a stroke, because his speech will never get beyond where it is today. But actually, this was good. He's had obviously follow-up checkups ever since, and and that tumor has stayed away. Okay, hasn't regrown, which is great. However, about 3 years down the line, he was diagnosed with stage 2 bowel cancer, and he had to have 6 months. So he had the tumor and the bowel kind of cut away, stitched back together. He had 6 months worth of chemotherapy via tablet. He completed 3 months. He was really struggling to feel the pages of a newspaper, turn the pages of a newspaper, because he just couldn't feel the end of his fingers. So we discussed initially, before he actually decided to go ahead with the chemotherapy, whether he did have it or he didn't. So the percentage of return rate wasn't that different between the two. So he decided to stop after 3 months. In 2019, he was then diagnosed with stage 4 mouth cancer, which started as a mouth ulcer that wouldn't go away. He then decided to scrub it with a toothbrush, as you do. He made it bleed and it wouldn't heal. So he went to the dentist, who sent him to the doctor that sent him to the hospital, and they said, we think this is mouth cancer. And it was stage 4 because it actually went through in a very short space of time through from the inside of his mouth in through his cheek into his jawbone and also into his lymph nodes as well. So he had to have his jawbone removed and replaced with a plate. And he then also had to have his lymph removed as well. As a result of this, he then had to go into radiotherapy. So he had 6 weeks of radiotherapy, 5 days a week for a minute each day. And that kind of probably took us up until about Christmas time, just maybe after Christmas. So we're now in 2020. So he's getting to a point in his life now where he's starting to feel, a lot better. He can go out, he's got a bit more energy, etc. And then along came COVID. And they said, you, sir, have to stay at home for 12 weeks and shield because you're vulnerable. In fact, you're super vulnerable. And of course, we were in and out of lockdown for then quite a long time. And as a result of that, they weren't going out so much, they weren't doing so much walking, and his mobility started to suffer. He was then diagnosed with having arthritis quite severely in one hip more than the other, but both needed replacing. And in the last 12 months, he has basically had a pacemaker fitted, a prostate reduction, and 2 new hips. On top of this, he has regular injections into his eyes for macular degeneration. So we do have a standing joke that actually he's, certainly making the most of his national insurance contributions. However, about 3 weeks after his second hip operation, I said to him, Dad, I'm using you in my presentations. And he said, oh, are you? I said, yeah. I said, how are you? Yeah, I'm good. And I said, do you consider yourself to be in good health? Yeah, absolutely. So, and that made me smile because this is one of the things that we're sort of seeing. So I've had a number of people that have come back to me when the product first came in to say, look, we've got max borrowing, we're looking at Apex. However, the client's got a shortfall. And I would say to them, have you asked the health questions? No, but he's in good health, or she's in good health, or they're in good health. Okay, but have you asked the health questions? Because it can make that difference. And here we have a situation where my father would qualify on this product a number of times. So we ask 13 questions within our questionnaire. However, I think it's really important that we position the questioning in the right way. So are you in good health? Yeah, because actually people don't think there's anything wrong with them. Okay, whereas actually we need to be really sort of positioning with the customer. I'm about to ask you a series of questions that really might determine, how much borrowing we can get. I need you to be very honest about your medical history, and don't leave anything out. So in our questionnaire, the first 2 questions are height and weight. So they obviously bring up your BMI. The next 2 are around smoking. The following 8 are around medical conditions. And one of the things to remember is that we're not asking when you were diagnosed. This is a have you ever. So have you ever in your lifetime? So for things like diabetes, angina, okay, and high blood pressure, remember, these are conditions people don't even see as an illness at all. So unless we're asking the direct question, then they may not think about this. They just take drugs every day to manage these conditions. They don't consider it to be an illness in any way, shape, or form. When it comes to things like cancer, stroke, and heart attack, again, have you ever? You might be in a situation where you've got a female who has got a ductal carcinoma in situ of her breast, okay, had a lumpectomy, had it removed, and that might have even happened 10 years or so ago. But actually, that's something that, we move forward with, we don't really think about, you get used to on a daily basis. Or it might be somebody that had a heart attack 7 or 8 years ago. May have been sort of fairly minor, but they might have spent a night in hospital. Again, they moved on with their life, perhaps made some improvements to their lifestyle and their dietary changes. Don't really think about it because it's in the past. So it really is have you an ever sort of situation. Once you've answered those medical questions, okay, the final question is, have you retired on the grounds of ill health? Okay, so obviously once those questions have been completed, then that will give you a health rating, okay? And obviously as you become older, that health rating would increase as well. The system, when you've done the quote, will return the API back to you and give you the loan to value that that client would qualify for. And then all we need is their signed medical declaration to come into us at the point of application. So the sooner you get that into us, the sooner we can get this off to the funder, because we don't underwrite this case. Okay, the funder will underwrite the case for you. And it looks a little bit something like this. So our pre-offer team will take the case in. What we then do is we take the medical declaration and we send that to the funder. The funder will then basically raise the invoice and send out, obviously, to apply for the GP report or arrange any cotinine tests or nurse screens, etc. In the meantime, what we will be doing is we'll be assessing the valuation, and then we will issue an offer, because that means then at that point, while the medical situation is going on in the background, the solicitor can be doing their work once they've got the offer. When the invoices are paid and the GP report, comes back in, it will go to the funder and they will underwrite those reports. And then based upon that information, they will either approve the rate or they will re-rate that case. So obviously, if they find other things that haven't been declared that could have an impact positively, then they will take those on board. Likewise, if the client's decided to tell you all the lies under the sun, then actually it may be re-rated in a slightly different way. Now, we often sort of see that a tailored enhanced client looks a little bit different to a normal lifetime mortgage client. Slightly younger in age, so we're looking at age 68. Slightly higher on the average loan amount, and also the average loan to value, is just almost the same. So that tells me we could be looking at slightly higher property values as well for these particular types of customer. Now, this is a real live case study. So this customer was age 59, and had been placed by the broker and recommended a mortgage that was £58,000. So it's an equity release of 58,000, but it wasn't quite enough. We needed some more borrowing. And we said to the broker, have you been and asked the health questions? And he said no. So we went away, asked the 13 questions, and this is what came back, was high blood pressure and also cancer. What that meant was that we could actually give this customer a further £10,000 worth of borrowing. And as it was at that point in time, the rate on Tailored Enhanced was actually cheaper than it was on the 58,000. So he was getting a great deal all round. Now, when it comes to technology, so whether it be via Iris or via Air, from our FastPass system, we will return an API, back to these portals. And that will mean that basically that will give you the rating. So you answer the medical questions and that will give you the rating. You are using a different system, then you will need to come into FastPath directly. And again, that will give you the API rating and the LTV that the client would qualify for. So we're very much looking to support, you as advisors in any way that we can. And we understand that obviously sometimes it's very, very difficult from a criteria point of view. And there's lots of cases that are happening at the moment that are a little bit tricky. So to give you some criteria highlights, we will lend on properties up to 100% flat roof. So that would be on Tailored Enhanced only, not so much on the lifetime plans. We can consider shared septic tanks as well. We just need to know how many people or how many households they're shared with, where the tank sits. Is it within the curtilage of the property or someone else's property? What access rights are there? Is there any agreements in place? All of this is really useful information that we can use. We can look at actually lodgers as well, including the government rent-a-room scheme, and be aware that with those, then actually they do have to be residing in a main house, so they can't be in an annex or another property or anything like that within the grounds. We will accept adverse credit on this particular product range as well, and you can use the loan to repay things like unsatisfied county court judgments, IVAs, or debt management plans as well. This is one of our plans that actually will allow the use of an annex actually for an Airbnb. So if you have any of those, let's have that discussion about those. And we will lend up to 10 acres as well. Solar panels are accepted, so whether they're loaned or whether they're owned. And obviously there's lots of different construction types as well that we will consider. So if you are stuck with underwriting at all, okay, then what you can do is call head office where they will be able to assist you. The other thing, if you've got a particularly complicated case, you can email that to info@mortalife.co.uk. That will go straight into the underwriting team, and that team will be able to come back to you, either ask you for further information or be able to tell you where that case will actually fit. And as always, within our product range, if something doesn't fit on something, okay, or one particular part of the range, then actually what we will do is look at the panel to see what else we can actually offer you. But thank you very much for your time. And I hope you've enjoyed that. If you do have any questions, then please do come back to us. Thank you.